Now, in a medium rich in oxygen, hemoglobin binds to oxygen gas and it becomes oxyhemoglobin. In a medium poor in oxygen, at level of cells, oxyhemoglobin is dissociated again, where hemoglobin is set free and oxygen is released to the cells. What do we mean by these words? At the level of lungs, the lungs, as we know that it's rich in oxygen and oxygen diffuses from the lungs toward the blood. Around 1.5 of the oxygen gas dissolved in the plasma, while 98.5% binds to hemoglobin. So hemoglobin binds to oxygen gas. In this case, hemoglobin becomes oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin moves toward the cells. At the level of cells, as we know that the cells are poor in oxygen and oxygen gas must diffuse from the blood toward the cells. In this case, oxyhemoglobin is dissociated, hemoglobin is free, and oxygen gas is released to the cells or diffused to the cells. Oxyhemoglobin is unstable compound. Why we call it unstable compound? Because this oxyhemoglobin, it can be dissociated again into oxygen alone and hemoglobin alone. If it is stable, then it cannot be dissociated. It has a bright red color. Once the blood is rich in oxygen, then it has bright red color. Therefore, the reaction between hemoglobin and oxygen gas is reversible. What do we mean by reversible? We mean by reversible that this oxyhemoglobin, it can be dissociated again into hemoglobin and oxygen. Hemoglobin and oxygen are combined together and give oxyhemoglobin. So we call this kind of reaction a reversible reaction. Hemoglobin and oxygen, it makes combination reaction where at the level of alveolar wall, because it is rich in oxygen, it gives oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin, once it reached the cells or at the level of cells, it is decomposed, it gives hemoglobin alone and oxygen alone. Now, this hemoglobin, why it is set free? Because it is going to bind to carbon dioxide. So, how is carbon dioxide gas transported in the blood? There are three ways of transportation. First, by plasma in the form of bicarbonates. It's around 60 to 70%. By hemoglobin, around 20 to 30%. And in dissolved forms, around 7 to 10%. So, as we can see here, that the main constituent for carrying carbon dioxide is the plasma. Carbon dioxide is transported in dissolved form in the plasma. It's dissolved in the water or in the plasma 7 to 10%. It forms bicarbonates around 60 to 70%, and only 20 to 30% they are bound to hemoglobin. What happened in a medium rich in carbon dioxide? What is the medium that is rich in carbon dioxide? Is the cells. Are at the level of cells, as we said in the previous slide, that it was oxyhemoglobin. Oxygen is released to the cells and hemoglobin is free. Now hemoglobin binds to carbon dioxide, it becomes carbohemoglobin. Then, in a medium poor in carbon dioxide, like in the lungs, what happened? Carbohemoglobin is dissociated, hemoglobin alone, and carbon dioxide is released or is diffused to alveoli. Why it's diffused to alveoli? To be exhaled outside your body. Notice that also carbohemoglobin, it is unstable. Why it's unstable? Because it can be dissociated again, and it gives dark red color to the blood. Once the blood is poor in oxygen, then its color is dark red. So the reaction between hemoglobin and carbon dioxide, it's also reversible, as we said in the reaction between hemoglobin and oxygen, but here at different levels. At cellular level, hemoglobin binds to carbon dioxide. They will form or they will produce carbohemoglobin because cells are rich in carbon dioxide, and this carbohemoglobin is decomposed at the level of alveolar wall because CO2 is diffused toward the alveoli to be exhaled outside the body. The summary: blood rich in oxygen, it has bright color, while blood which is poor in oxygen, it has dark red color. And hemoglobin, it's a red pigment or molecule. It's found in the red blood cells and it's responsible for transportation of respiratory gases. And I can add here plus plasma. Plasma is also responsible for transportation of respiratory gases. Let's solve this application. Gas, the color of blood in these four cases, blood entering the lungs, blood leaving the lungs, blood entering the organs, blood leaving the organs. First, the blood entering the lungs, it is leaving the organs. So we can relate these together. Once the blood enters the lungs, it means that it is coming from the organs. So it is leaving the organs, going to the lungs. Blood leaving the lungs, it is going to the organs. Let's see the answers. The blood that it's entering the lungs, which is coming from the organs, for sure it's dark red because it is rich in carbon dioxide and it is poor in oxygen. The blood that it is leaving the lungs, so it is now rich in oxygen, so it is bright red because it's rich in oxygen. We said that the blood that it is leaving the lung, it is entering the organ. So also the blood entering the organ, it is bright red because it is rich in oxygen. And finally, blood leaving the organs, it is dark because it is poor in oxygen, coming from the lungs, leaving the organs, going to the lungs. Please read page 38 in your textbook and solve page 31-32 part 3.4 only in your workbook, and you can review the main points about respiration page 39, and don't forget to ask any question. Thank you.